Hello gorgeous beings and welcome to your January Divine Love monthly reading. It is a pleasure to be here to communicate these messages to you. Took a little bit longer to bake this month. Oh, Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords was at work. Where is she? There she is. A Queen of Swords was at work, obviously still breaking down some barriers to cut through the undergrowth so that this clarity could come. And there's been some very high energy. I want to thank everybody that has been on the Vimeos, been on the energy baths, because they have been the most powerful experiences of my life. And I'm in one of the most powerful times of my life, energetically, or, can't even explain it. There's just so much high energy and fast movement at the moment, and it's quite a ride. So I thank everybody for joining me. I thank you for joining me here. And I welcome you, and may all of our hearts be connected here, because this is what this space is for. And so let's just ask for what we need to come through. Just whilst I'm shuffling, I will be holding a meditation energy bath regression session on the 11th of January at 8 p.m. Eastern. These energy baths are powerful. I will be doing a card reading as well. And yeah, these are group sessions online that have been extremely powerful and beautiful. So I invite you there. I will put the link in. And the weeklies are always there for you to get a little bit more detail about from week to week. So, yes, the cards are nearly ready. Let's feel a little bit more. Yep. Oh, I think she's there again. Let's see what happens. Yeah, she's there. Oh, it's not she, it's he. Bottom of the deck is the King of Swords. I'm not quite sure if that was at the bottom of the deck. I can't remember last month. But he's been the bottom of the deck recently. And, oh gosh, it's just a lot of energy. It feels as though there's a weight that is being lifted towards logic. It feels like it's quite difficult to align the heart and the mind throughout January. But it's not that it's difficult, it's that it's happening, but it's as though the heart is so huge and the love is so huge that the brain and the mind has to expand to be able to hold it. And so this is really about our thinking expanding collectively in a very different way. We're being challenged intellectually. So it's not that, oh, and it's not even in life, it's actually for this reading. So what the message is from this card is, open up your mind, challenge your mind. The mind is going to be challenged. Logic itself is going to be challenged because of the size of the love, the size of your heart. And so even throughout this reading and throughout all of my readings, it is actually more of a mental process than an emotional one, because it really is about aligning the mind and the logic and the thinking with the feeling, with love, which is huge. So it's actually intellectually challenging, and I feel that there's a challenge there. And it is in life also, but it really is just allowing the mind to expand, our thinking to expand, our perspective to expand hugely in order to house, in order essentially to grow to the hugeness of the heart and of the love that you feel. It's a beautiful message. So I'm going to start with the feminine on this side. So first card I have for the feminine is the Queen of Swords. I thought she was there. First card, second card, the Knight of Cups. Third card, the Seven of Wands. Oh. Fourth card, the Page of Swords. Oh, lots of court cards. First card for the masculine, the Three of Wands. Second card for the masculine, the Ace of Swords. Third card for the masculine, the Six of Cups. Fourth card for the masculine, the Tower. Crown, masculine. Root, feminine. Bottom of the deck, the King of Swords. Just a moment to talk about this spread. This spread was channeled by me the first time I ever came on YouTube. So I just didn't know, I really don't know what was happening. I just started recording and this spread came through. So, and I've been using it ever since. This is the spread that I use. Calling it now the mirror spread. So, yeah. Interesting. So, we start off in January. The feminine starts off with the Queen of Swords. So she's still at play. She's operating through the feminine, and she's kind of cutting off the rubbish, the barriers that are in the way, the barriers that we have to love, that she is decreeing, calling it. She's just, anything that's in the way is being, and the word is destroyed, cut down by that queen. And she feels great. She feels incredible. She is the wife of the King of Swords. She's the partner of the king. I'm not going to apologize for the light, but I do know that it's there. It's kind of impossible for me to get away from it right now. This is a pair. So she is the teammate of that King of Swords, of the logic aligning. So we needn't be afraid of her. She can be quite cutting, but we needn't be afraid of her. We've got the page down here, so the child is here too. We have the Queen of Swords, the King of Swords, and the Page of Swords. I feel like the page is the child. So it's very interesting. So she is the partner of that King of Swords. She's partnering up. She's kind of doing the work, part of that team of aligning the logic with the heart. And so allow her to cut down and cut through all of the thinking that's in the way of you experiencing this divine love. If you do not feel as though you are in some kind of union in divine love with the person that you love, that's okay. But it is about expanding your mind and expanding your perspective outward and bigger and bigger and bigger to be able to perceive more than you have before. Just be aware that you are not aware of 99.999999999% of what is happening at any time. We are restricted by our perspective. So always be aware that you know much less than you know. You don't know much more than you know. If that makes sense. So the masculine has the Three of Wands he starts off with. He is waiting to receive. He's waiting to receive a message. He's waiting to receive the Queen of Swords. He's waiting to receive direction. He's waiting to receive clarity. He seeks communication. That Three of Wands is he's waiting for his message to be returned. He sent out his message. He sent out his communication. He's waiting for his communication to be returned. I do feel as though, because he's looking out the other way, into the other direction, that he is waiting to receive some kind of, it feels like some kind of business thing, actually. It's something else in the world. He's kind of waiting for, I'm going to say waiting for a sign. So he's either waiting for some kind of action or some kind of sign or some kind of thing to hit. But I really do feel like he's waiting for the clarity. He's not quite sure. He's waiting for somebody to give him the clarity. The Queen of Swords is clear. She's clear. And so there is this opportunity for the feminine to be the queen and to kind of, but she's cutting off. She is the divorce queen. She's cutting off from him. And this is just at the beginning. So, you know, it's nothing, there's nothing to be afraid of in cutting off, because we cannot be physically connected all the time. It's very important that we do cut off occasionally, or not cut off, but spend time apart. So time apart is not anything to ever be feared. It is extremely important. And so she does feel like she's kind of cutting off, but she is also kind of, she is communicating. She's saying this is ending. This is ending. And there are no such thing as, you know, but what's ending is what's in the way, not what's good, if that makes sense. She's cutting out what doesn't work and making room for what does work. She's doing the work of this pairing of the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords, of we must lose that which is in the way. So don't be afraid of her. The clarity which he seeks, that he's waiting for, he achieves with this Ace of Swords. He has clarity. And this is clarity in a very, very big scale. Clarity about his life, clarity about his path, clarity about his destiny, clarity about the feminine. 100%. He knows he is victorious. He knows the truth, and he knows his truth, and he knows that it only needs to be his truth, and it doesn't matter what the feminine's doing. It's irrelevant. His truth, he finds the love and the truth of this connection and of his life and clarity, and it's huge and it's massive. The feminine then has the Knight of Cups. So then she communicates this love. So it's a little bit as though he's waiting to hear from her, but she's not giving him what he wants, quote unquote. She's giving him kind of an ultimatum. Not that I necessarily believe in ultimatums that intensely. Well, not about believing in ultimatums. It's not that she's saying, well, you need to do this. It's not like from an ego place. It's kind of like, well, I can't, she doesn't really have a choice. She operates, she's clearing the path. She's busy. She can't give him what he's waiting for. And I'm not sure she could anyway, because like he was waiting for the clarity, as I said. And I feel like the clarity comes elsewhere. The clarity comes from outside, and he receives it, and it comes. But only when he receives his clarity is then she free to deliver her love and communicate her love and her emotion with that Knight of Cups. And so there is communication from the feminine to the masculine, but only when he feels and knows his own truth, his own clarity, and his own victory, and is victorious in his being, then he receives.
you know, it is a little bit of that kind of like, we don't get what we want when we want it. It is a bit about divine timing. It's just he has to kind of find his truth for himself and not get it from the feminine. But the interesting thing is, she delivers him what he needs, not what he wants. She delivers him the truth, the sword, and then he is able to take that sword and know that it's truth and know that it's true and find this new beginning. So the Queen of Swords is a kind of ending. The Ace of Swords is a new beginning, and it is a new beginning of logic, of thought, of mental understanding, and that's powerful, very powerful. And then the feminine becomes the vessel for communication of this emotion. Then the feminine, she gets a bit feisty. I feel like this is about her position in the world. Suddenly she's got this kind of feisty thing going on. She's got the logic and she's got the love, and they're here. They're equal. She's got those two horses. I can see the chariot, the card of the chariot with these two things, love and logic, and we feel or like magic and reality, or whatever you want to call it. Or good and bad, light and dark, doesn't matter. We've got the whole spectrum. It's not actually black and white. It's a rainbow. She has that rainbow, and she's got them both, and so she's got this also kind of new energy of I'm standing my ground in this. This feels good. I know. There's this kind of new knowing, and if you're not experiencing that feminine, this is a message to stay. Stand your ground, stay. You know, it's like, even if you might feel as though the masculine isn't receiving your communication of love because he's in this kind of different sword, kind of like I am energy, feels like an I am energy or an I know energy, or it's this kind of very upright kind of position that might not be that receptive because it's a bit kind of, whoa, you know, here, this is happening, and kind of, you know, a little bit direct, maybe not so receptive. It's a message to keep going. And so she keeps going. She's like, I'm going to, you know, it's not necessarily about forcing the communication of love. It's staying. It's just say, stand your ground with this love and this logic that are playing as very good friends. And then the return of the love, the new eyes. He has the clarity about the truth, and he knows. He has the return. He experiences the return of the love from the beginning, the soulmate, the soul connection. This was the bottom of the deck for the yearly reading that I did for the group that I met on the energy bath in December, on the 30th. I will be recording a yearly, so check that out. That will be up a couple of days after this goes up. So do check that out. This is a very big theme, the return of the love, and also about past lives, which is why I decided to do a meditation, kind of opening up to experiencing the connection on a different level outside of this story. So it's understanding that this love is much greater than the story that it's operating within at this time, and it's a very, very old story, and it's going to be a session where we just kind of dive into different expressions of this love at different times in different places. And this is what this 6 is. It's that I know you. I don't know anything about you, but I know you. I know your soul. Our souls are one. And this acknowledgement and knowing and remembering. And so the message for the feminine is stand your ground, because the remembering happens, but he has to find his own truth. And he does. With her help, but he finds he must find his own truth, and then it emerges again from the new beginning. Always seek to have new eyes with your love. Know nothing about them, and then you will see them. Know nothing about anything, and then you will see. Love doesn't know anything, but it sees everything because it doesn't care to know. It doesn't want to. It just wants to see. It embraces everything so quickly that it doesn't need to stop to embrace it. It just moves on. It acknowledges everything and loves everything. I do feel as though the feminine keeps shaking things up for the masculine, because then she has this Page of Swords, and that kind of feels as though it might shake some more things up for the masculine, or it might seem as though she does. Truly, it just happens anyway. It's actually that this energy of returning to love and remembering causes a lot of big shake-up in his whole entire life. Again, he's had a lot of Tower going on, but this is kind of another level. But there's a security to it. There's a security in the union that we are in. We are a team. Whether you are experiencing that or not is up to you, and how much you can expand your perspective and perceptions. But I can tell you, if you're here and watching this, you are operating as a team. Just let that be true. Let that be a possibility if it can't be true, but just let that be. Don't need to understand it, just let it be. Because I can tell you that this team that we're in, following on from December and the union that we are in, this team can handle, together we can handle so much more. So this Tower doesn't feel so catastrophic, but it is a big shake up, and again, everything that we don't need falling away, and letting go of a lot of attachments and ideas and things in his life, practical things in his life that he really doesn't need. And the feminine is getting a bit feisty with him and with the world. There's a lot of kind of feisty energy. This is a kind of Joan of Arc. The Joan of Arc character has been coming out. So this kind of Joan of Arc energy in this Page of Swords. A youthful, courageous, idealistic energy that wants to get out there and fight. Sometimes we don't need to fight, but sometimes we don't know we need to fight until we enter the fight. So it doesn't feel, I don't feel like I want to say don't fight, but it's just a little, be careful. Know that you don't need to be aggressive. But there's something nice about the belief and the commitment that Page of Swords has. But she may be a little bit like, no, I'm busy. I'm busy doing other things. It can be kind of quite cutting, quite, it feels busy. It's like I'm doing things, and I'm going out, I'm doing this stuff whether you're with me or not. And yeah, there is a capacity for her to just kind of cause, or seemingly cause some shake-up. Like, no, this is what's happening, and there's no, I'm going to say kind of like, there's no doubt over here. And it is because this logic and this love, this logic and this emotion, is those two horses are galloping together, and it's powerful. Feels very Chariot energy. So we wonder if that comes out. I don't think it will. Interesting. 2 of Wands is the energy that the masculine brings into the feminine. This is, I look to the future, our world together. It is the two of us together. We create this new world together. 2 of Wands. Beautiful. Energy the feminine has, amazing. This feels amazing. This is this abundance, this wholeness, this fullness, this contentedness. It's, I don't need you, but not in a rejecting fashion. It's, I don't need anything. I know that I always have what I need, and so I'm free to be however I want to be. And so she's presenting this whole abundant, bright, spring-like, verdant energy. And this attracts him. It is this complete loss of codependence. She is free. And we are free to be interconnected when we are whole. And it's this sense of wholeness. There's also abundance here. So anybody that's having any kind of worry about material aspects or themselves in the material world, this is the grounding of this spiritual abundance in a material fashion, in an earthly fashion. And so there's a huge amount of abundance here that the feminine has, and it's there for her to experience. So a little message there. The root is the High Priestess. This is, I've been feeling her throughout this. This is a strong intuition, a strong feminine energy. There's a very, very strong feminine, high, exalted, powerful, intuitive energy that is, there we go, there's the rainbow, that is being expressed as togetherness. So it feels as though the feminine is fueling and kind of leading this experience of this wholeness and this oneness and this togetherness that we still are, that we are. This is the crown. What a perfect crown. There's the rainbow that I was talking about, that there's the 10 cups overflowing. It's all here to be experienced, and it's this emotional high point, and it is here. So January is an emotional high. There's a huge amount of joy and happiness. And it's all the little kinks are being kind of knocked into place. There's an ease. Even though there's some swordy, shifts, there's an ease to it. And it's because she's powerful. She is risen. She is powerful. She is rising. The feminine very much leading the way for January, and that feels good because she's solid. She's secure. She has everything. And she is very much a support for the masculine. So any masculine that is not experiencing his spiritual truth, his destiny, his remembrance of this soul love, this one soul love, will be experiencing that. And it will cause another bit of a shake-up in his life. But the feminine is so powerful and grounded and knowing too, that she is really an incredible support to him. Whether he reaches out or not, she is, throughout the whole month of January, giving him what he needs. That may not be what he wants, but it's what he needs. And the outcome is the Queen of Pentacles. So this is interesting. This is the feminine becoming very abundant, very contented, very whole, very powerful in a material sense in the material world. It's a growth of her experiencing wholeness, and that she is supported materially. And it really feels like the grounding of this very high intuitive energy. And I like that very much. It's this it feels like the feminine's grounded. She has her 2 feet solid on the ground, and she is divinely connected to this high, powerful intuition and spirit. And it feels like the Holy Spirit. Feels like I want to call the High Priestess this energy of the Holy Spirit, like the holiness, the exaltedness, the divinity, but it's now, she's really experiencing it in her life, in her groundedness. It's grounded, it's earthed, it's of this life. It's the ground, it really is the experience of the 5D in the 3D. This is what's happening. This kind of abundance of intuition and spirit manifests as this abundance of material support in the world. And security. It's secure. This knowing is secured. Marriage, togetherness, children, legacy, creations. These children represent our creations together, what we create together. But it really is as though the feminine is leading for this month. And it's nice. It's nice. This togetherness, it's like sometimes this person is the one to drive, sometimes the other is. It doesn't really matter, because the Chariot is equal. It's all equal. We are very, very equal. We are a pair. And therefore, it matters not who is in control of anything. I'm also going to pull a card from the Journey of Love Oracle, Alana Fairchild, Rasuli, Richard Cohn, as a little bit of extra info. It feels a little bit of an anticlimax, maybe. And I feel this is a message for people. It's like union is not as, it's not as big a deal as a lot of people think about this divine love in union. This divine love in union is just very, actually kind of becomes very normal. This is what this is. It's like the groundedness of it. It's a little bit like, oh wow, that's kind of very earthly and human and not very interesting, you know. It's really embracing our humanity as much as we embrace divinity. As it's allowing our humanity to be as great and as wondrous and as magical as our divinity. This is the card that wants to say hello, isn't it? So, wow, beautiful imagery again. I love the imagery of these cards. Number 23, Across the Waters. And I'm just going to read this short little message and poem that follows. Number 23, Across the Waters. You are being called across the waters, as if crossing a bridge of light from one ocean to a far greater one. These waters are your emotional waters, holding your feelings, your attitudes, your expectations, and your fears and doubts, as well as your hopes and dreams. It can seem like such a lot to navigate. Sometimes our waters feel overcrowded, as if swarms of people were descending into the ocean on a sweltering hot day. Hardly finding a space in the water to cool ourselves, we can feel as though there is just no room for faith, trust, peace, and love. There is just too much happening in that water. We yearn for the cool, calm mountain lake, serene, giving, echoing a gentle dispensation of grace. You are being called across the waters, out from an overcrowded sea into the cool spaciousness of the endless lake. So it's time to let go of some mental clutter, some attitudes, some thoughts. Ask for help and bathe yourself in the green and gold rays of healing color. Just imagine them cascading down around you and through you like a waterfall. It's a bit like you're moving into a new neighborhood in a cleaner and more spacious town. It might be a bit unfamiliar at first, but soon enough
you'll enjoy the difference. This oracle brings you a message. It is your time to think about something in a different light. Soon you will have a shift in perspective, and the feeling of overwhelm, stress, and just too much going on will be replaced with serene trust and peacefulness. Know that beneath even the most chaotic mind is a place of deep, quiet serenity within. Do whatever helps you dive deep to find it. Dance, take some rest, meditate, do yoga, write, paint, make love, make music. In that quiet serenity within, you'll be leaving unnecessary chaos behind, and you'll be presented with the gift of a new way forward. And the poem is: inhaling the soft scent of promised taste, the nectar moist upon my lips, I savor each sip across my tongue, dwelling in the moment's pleasure, warm and sweet, bathed in tingling thirst, I find myself wanting you, wanting more. And so this feels a little bit like the Six of Swords energy, that we are moving into calmer water. But if we hold on to our thoughts and our thinking, if we hold on to anything we have known before, or we try to work out how, why, what, we will lose the opportunity to experience that. So it's just really stop, savor, enjoy the moment, and allow life to move through. And it will be a much more pleasant ride. This is a month of transition. It means that, like I said, the kinks are being worked out, but we do just have to allow life to do that. It's not as we thought it was going to be. It is much more grounded. This is a month of grounding our love in the practical world. And it does quite well. It seems to do quite well. Again, I want to invite you to a meditation session, a reading, a meditation, a kind of regression. It feels like I'm never exactly sure how it's going to go, but that feels like what it wants to be on the 11th. And I will probably do another one on the 27th. But keep watching, check out the weeklies. They will help. There's going to be a reduction in price on the weekly from this second week of January. So give that a go if you feel like you're unsure, because there will be some, it changes as well. A month is a very long time in love. And this is a transitionary month where there's some shifty kind of things going on. So check out the weekly if you want some more. But I do feel as though this can sometimes feel like quite a lonely path, and as though we connect, online maybe, but we're not really connecting in everyday life. This month is about grounding it in everyday life. My passion and my role here is to to help in that, to make it practical, to make it make sense. But the paradox is we have to be willing for it not to make sense before it can make sense. So I'll kind of like guide you and hold your hand through the chaos maybe, and find the logic and the clarity and the grounding in your everyday life. And if you need help with that, I do feel as though these group sessions are really powerful for that, because we're all kind of knowing that we're in the same boat and we're focusing together and kind of creating a new world together. That's very powerful. But maybe this is enough. Maybe this is enough. Any way that I can be of service to you, just use me, use these as you are, and always follow your inspiration. And all I ever seek to do is hold out my hand. But you know, it is this understanding that life or these readings will always give you what you need and not what you want. And it's very important to view everything in that way, to allow life to trust life to give you what you need and not always what you want. And that's just because we sometimes, well, most of the time, we just don't know what's good for us. We just can't see. We can't see. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So much love. All the links to all my services will be below. And I look forward to whenever I see you again soon, which will be very soon. Loads of love.